Assalamu alaikum ji. Welcome back to the episode of Kahe, Kazi. My guest today was Arslan Athar. Arslan is a writer, है ना? और कुछ? That's mostly it. He's mostly a writer. He's also the progenitor and proprietor of the Desi Collective, which is a platform that hopes to empower and publish Desi writers. We get to speaking about the power of writing, the potency of storytelling, of telling your own story, of narrative building, of teaching people how to write. And we speak about how bookshops are really hurting the craft. Enjoy. Three, two, one. Arslan Athar, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you for doing this, man.
Yes.
How many days are you in Karachi for?
I leave on Saturday.
And today is?
Wednesday.
Under a rock. Today is under a fucking rock. Okay. How you doing? You good?
I'm good. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
a little tired, but otherwise good.
Tired of what? Are you at liberty to talk about work?
That's a good question.
Anna? I'm full of good questions, man.
Yeah. I'm here for work. Yes.
Yes.
I think that's mostly what I can say. It's not like I'm like just top secret, kuch nahi hai, but I don't think I want to talk about work.
Sure, fair enough.
Yeah, I've been at work for quite a long time today. So
And you are predominantly then a writer.
yes,
Are we talking about the book?
we can talk about the book.
Dude, let's talk about the
We
book.
can talk about the book.
Yeah,
of
you're working on
course.
the book. And we obviously need to get into the Desi Collective.
Yes, which we will.
Inshallah. Where did you grow up?
So I was born and raised in Dubai.
Okay.
So yeah, I was there when it was sand dunes and a few roads.
Okay.
Grew up there, saw the city grow, and then came back. I went to Lahore for university,
Okay.
and then since then been here. But family को भी यहीं ले आए, उन्होंने कहा आप लोग भी. What are you doing in Dubai? तो
Living life, dude. Living an unthreatened life. I don't know, whatever. Yeah.
But no, I mean, there was also their time to leave.
Yeah.
So yeah, we all just now live in Pakistan.
Okay. And when did you decide that you wanted to starve? Bro, I did a degree in writing, right?
Yeah.
And my professors would be like, so you've decided you want to starve? I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck kind of a thing is that to say to someone?
This is why I have a 9-to-5 job. Just avoid the starving.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So when did you, but on a serious note, when did the interest in writing develop? Was it always? How?
It was kind of always. I think I'd always had koi na koi random, story in my dimag, and I'd be writing it out. Going to English medium schools, matlab ke I was writing about Bob and Christina rather than, about Desi people because
Dude, I want to talk about that Western protagonist, right? Like,
because that's what we were taught, and we were taught that September is gloomy because it's cold, but like actually you loved it. Shukar hai garmi khatam ho gayi.
And also no one looks like us.
No one looks like us.
The heroes, the protagonists never look like us,
Exactly.
man. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I want someone who looks like me, has
Exactly.
hair on his body. Like, what's going on here, man? But yeah.
So I think like even a couple of teachers would be like, there's stories that, ignore the cultural context, not context, but like ignore the fact that they're saying like cold is bad.
Yeah.
That's just who they are. So like that idea was always in our head.
Okay.
And then actually I think growing up, my dada was very supportive of writing.
What was he himself?
He was a vet himself. He was a vet in the army. So he had a lot of stories with,
I can imagine.
like lion treatment and treating horses and all of that.
How old are you, Arslan?
I am, how old do you think I am?
I think you're 29, 30.
Yeah, so I'm 27.
Okay, yeah. So my age, more or less. So your grandfather, see, people from that era were just more eloquent generally. Do you feel this?
Yeah. I mean, so if I look back at like the letters he wrote, or like, do you know like what Sehra Bandi jo hoti hai, like Achadi? So like basically...
Not at all.
So, ek to hai like obviously the thing, the pagdi.
Yeah.
But like a Sehra itself is like a poem that the groom's family writes.
Oh, wow.
Which is like highly personalized. Ke like, bhai ne ye kaha. And like it's very like wholesome and lovely. And usually it's in Urdu. But my dada wrote it in English because he preferred to. I mean, he was also slightly colonized. Colonized night, but but I mean, again, he preferred to write like that, and that writing is like some like very very old school, and I enjoy reading that to this day because it's like so of that time, and it's so like heavy words that we don't use today, and I can't remember them off the top of my head. So don't ask me.
Sure.
So,
But see, here's the thing. Like, I think it needs to be said repeatedly that colonization was bad, and that we have a colonial hangover cannot take away from the skills certain people developed. Right?
Absolutely.
Some people, like for instance, you can scoff at when it's said as a cliche about the Qaid-e-Azam, he was more white than the white people. But it takes doing, man.
Yeah.
You know, it still takes doing.
Yeah.
So we scoff at it. Like, what the fuck were you doing? Sure. But it still takes doing.
Absolutely.
You can't take away from that.
Absolutely.
You know? And so I feel like people from that generation, just generally, and I don't know why that is, we write more now, we communicate more now, you know?
But I think it had like a lot more value because you weren't sharing it immediately also. Like it was for you. You were sharing your own thoughts with yourself, your own feelings with yourself. I'm sure, although I don't think we found a lot of the things that he sort of left behind, but I'm sure he wrote diaries and he did mention them. So, but we never obviously found those things. I'm sure he had very like deep thoughts about things that are happening, either with the family or his own like, you know, personal stuff that he didn't talk to anyone else about. So I think us waqt mein, like you were writing more for yourself, more for understanding कि आपके दिमाग में क्या हो रहा है.
But bro, how would that lead to you having better writing?
So,
you know?
I don't know actually. I feel like there was an element of like he was doing it for himself.
Yeah.
And I think he didn't have the pressure of sort of sharing it.
And that's led him to experiment, you think? Or
I think so, yeah.
You know, yeah.
And like him also to be very like supportive of those types of things.
Yeah. Because this is not a figment of my imagination. Our writing has gotten worse, right?
Yeah.
Because I never met my Nana Baba and I never met my Dada Baba, but their auditory and their articulatory abilities were, they were very prominent. Those were prominent traits of their personalities.
Absolutely.
They could just talk like that, you know? And maybe it's privilege. Maybe it also is that. But they were two completely different people. Like, you know, my Nana Baba was in the military, my Dada Baba was a politician and Hakim, but they could just talk, man.
Yeah.
You know, and now I don't know, I suppose it's the fact that we've been inundated with all this content, you know?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it is like, I can sort of on a whim just write something and post it.
Yeah.
And I would get some amount of validation for it.
Yeah.
But in the past, you'd sort of have to really fight for, you know, getting your words out there. You know, so although this is coming up sooner, but like in the Desi Collective, I think it was the last issue that I did before I took a break last year, was my mamu and my mom approached me and they had a nazam, a ghazal actually, that their father wrote, but he could never get it published. Because he was in the military, so he was moving around quite a bit, and he was unwell, so he never really got the chance to actually publish it. Plus, when he did try, he didn't get it published. So there was a letter to the editor and there was the ghazal. So the letter sort of goes over why he wrote it. Like he had a heart attack very early on in his life. So he was sort of explaining how that meant forced retirement in the military.
In the military,
Yeah. So he was sort of talking about like really heavy stuff. Like I was depressed and like my source of who I was, because like us waqt to और भी ज़्यादा you were defined by your productivity.
Your occupation was everything, man. Yeah.
So he's like, I lost this even before I turned 50 or right when I turned 50. So like, what the hell do I do for the rest of my life? You know, like those are the things he was sort of exploring in this letter he wrote to this editor. And the ghazal itself is, you know, sort of goes over this these themes. Although I had to read it a couple of times because like, very, very like proper Urdu.
Oh yeah, dude. हाँ मेरा ये scene ही नहीं है bro. उर्दू तो हो ही नहीं सकती. I'm sorry.
So then I published that, and the last thing in that issue was that poem.
All right, now I've messed this up, the chronology.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
You have. It's okay.
Okay, so inspired by your dada, and he sort of supported writing is a good thing.
Yeah,
you should do it. And then in school throughout, literature was gravitate towards
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And like there were some teachers who were supportive.
Okay.
So again, like the school I went to, वहाँ पे mostly Desi teachers, so Indian and Pakistani, because again Dubai में था.
Yeah.
So there was one teacher in 3rd grade and then in the 9th who were very supportive.
Okay.
And they, you know, really like, you know, you should write.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's sort of what kept it going. And just like random little stories here and there.
Okay.
And yeah.
That's it, more or less.
Well, that was school, yeah, more or less.
And at what point now, I think you've just read enough stuff with the Desi Collective, which we have alluded to, but not explained.
Not yet.
Because we will not.
No one knows yet what it is.
Yeah, fuck it, we won't,
Yeah.
right? At what point do you start picking up that you might be good at this stuff? Or was it ever a thought कि यार good होना है इस पे?
I wanted to be good at it.
Okay.
I think I always wanted वो जो like very typical, I walked into a bookstore and always thought कि एक दिन मेरी भी किताब यहाँ
Inshallah.
होगी. Yes. Yeah. So that was the driving thought, or at least the recurring thought कि like okay, this will happen for me one day.
Yeah.
So like we have to just get better at this task of writing.
Oh yeah.
But I think for a very long time it was still very stories of things I didn't know. Okay, like London में September में बहुत सर्दी like that kind of shit.
Sure.
Yeah, that went on for quite a while. And I think even in Dubai, like for example, वहाँ पे you couldn't find Desi literature, Indian or Pakistani writers for a very long time.
What years are you in Dubai and what is this?
I was in Dubai till 2014.
Dude, why couldn't you find there's so many diasporic
But the diaspora was mostly like the white diaspora was more prominent, at least with literature and things like that.
Yeah,
and
the Russians and all those.
Yeah. You're reading more classical.
Yeah.
So like even in school, O levels, you're studying. Ek to school mein to obviously if you're doing O levels, you're studying
Shakespeare and stuff.
Shakespeare, Jane Austen, all those things. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
And then in bookstores, you wouldn't find a lot of Desi literature in any case.
But also Desi literature, जो Desi authors होते हैं, they're no joke. Like they're not writing about light subjects.
Oh yeah.
They go hard.
I think maybe also mom's like, okay, you're not too like you're too young for this. I think there's that aspect also.
Sure.
Although I'm pretty sure I was reading above like what I should have been reading in any
Anyways, yeah.
But again, it was difficult to get those books. And jab bhi we would come to Karachi to Islamabad, I would get some little, mostly translated stories. I was very interested in like Urdu se translated stories.
Interesting. Why?
I read one by accident in the sense that I was at a chacha's house and wahan pe it was very boring.
Thanks, chacha.
Sorry. And wahan bahut boring tha. So I found a translated story there. I believe it was Toba Tek Singh ki translation thi.
Okay.
Yeah. So I read that and I was like, what? Also because my mom's family is from Toba Tek Singh. So I was like,
yeah.
that I think blew my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you could write a story about people who are like you or from places that you're fan.
And that's a nuanced thought.
Who would have thought
Yeah.
that, us mere mortals can be captured in a book. So that started it. And then I would find really random translations. Some of them were really bad. When I say I would go to very random stores to find this stuff. So I was very interested and I started, reading up and everything. But then in 2014, when I finally did come back for university, that's when things started to really pick up.
Okay.
Because now I was in Lahore, so wahan pe to you could find Pakistani, also the Indian writers bhi milte the Lahore mein. And things like, Lahore Lit Fest was happening. So it was a lot of information being thrown at me. And eventually I did take a course with a Pakistani writer Bilal Tanveer.
Okay.
And he told us something like it blew my mind.
What did he say?
So he was teaching us about the short story, like sort of the art of the short story. So he said very clearly, you cannot write about white people. Do not write about people who you do not know. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, that
makes all the sense in the world, doesn't it? Yeah.
It makes sense, but it was the first literature course I was taking at the university. He's like, you do not and the first midterm, he's like, you write your own short story, but it cannot be about anyone outside of your context. Ooh. And I was like, what?
Heavy breathing. No, a minute. What do you want to name the university?
Lums.
Okay. And was that a good experience?
Yes.
Yes and no, or yes?
Yes and no in the sense that I had to take a major that I didn't want to. I would have much rather taken just literature or just political science, for example.
Yeah.
But I had to push econ in there as well.
Of course you did. You are brown, my friend.
Yes, that is true. But I mean, those courses sort of saved the whole experience for me.
Sure.
So he's like, midterm mein you have to write the story, jo bhi hai ye likhna hai.
Okay.
So then jo TA thi, I was like, Sarah, how do we do this? So she was really helpful.
Imagine how fractured your self experience is, though,
of
right?
Of course. Like I would say that I really immersed myself in a lot of cultural experiences, even in the first year of university. But even then, writing it out.
Yeah. It's a different beast, man.
Absolutely.
Okay, ek minute, let me fix your...
Sure.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, what do you know? Think about like an instance in your life you want to talk about. So very typically I thought, okay, I write about a dawat.
Dude, but see, that's atypical because how many people have written about dawats?
But for me,
and all the cultural context that it's a plethora of, I don't know, the patriarchy, misogyny, domestic abuse, and those are just the bad things.
Yeah.
What about the beautiful conventions in dawats, right?
Exactly.
Oh man.
So I was like, okay, I write about dawat.
Okay, fantastic.
She's like, okay, great starting point. Like, let's go into it. And I wrote about this dawat. All I remember from the story is that it was very Nihari focused. Because again, I think I was missing Nihari, to be honest, at this time.
Nihari's great, man. I love Nihari.
So I wrote about this dawat and everything, and we submitted it for checking. And great, acha aaya, but in the end, he scratched the ending and he just wrote no. That's and no other context.
I love professors like that. No.
He just scratched it and he wrote no. And then I went to him and I was like, what do you mean? And he just said, I mean no. And I was like, and
invalidate the whole experience.
Yeah.
No.
So he's like, no, like the ending is too like whatever predictable, blah blah blah. I was like, to wo likh lete na, like just no.
Bro, I want to be in some capacity. I want to be an authority on writing in some capacity and just do that.
Just scratch out.
Just don't even just delete it. No.
And I think I saved it because I was just like, what? Baki sab, there was nothing. He wrote nothing else on that paper. He wrote the marks on top.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, great. He really liked it.
Yeah.
And then to the last page, I'm like, no.
But you know what? I think that's a good contrast to have. If you get a good grade, that means there's potential.
Yeah.
But then if you get a good grade and no remarks, then how are you improving?
I mean, also I would have just wanted more than a no. But again, I think also then the credit also lies with him. He uses like, why are you not a lit major? I was like, sir.
Bas sir, yahi to.
Yes.
Alama.
Do you want me to cry? In your office in the middle of Monday. But again, like his courses were very writing focused. And I just
name him again.
Bilal Tanveer.
Bilal Tanveer. Thank you, sir. Thank you. You gotta appreciate it, man.
Yeah. So I think I sort of followed him like a cult. I took all his courses. And he was like, "What the hell is this guy?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hello, assalamu alaikum. I'm back.
Same guy.
I'm back."
You know the guy you said no to?
So no, I think those courses definitely helped me to tap into this world. I was like, whoa, you can write about this shit and get away with it and people will read it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of where the bug started and festered.
Yeah. And again, man, in all jokes aside, great appreciation to someone like that who's giving children, whether in diaspora or not, just brown kids, the courage to write about their own experiences, man. Like growing up, I would consume all this white content, right? Where the protagonist was, this fucking carved out of marble man, perfect hair. Because obviously hair loss is not a thing. And no hair on his body. For the longest time, now I laugh at it, but for the longest time, I would use a trimmer to trim down the hair on my legs. Because why do I have these, man?
Yeah.
Because that protagonist clearly does not, and he's the hero and he wins. So why am I not like him?
Yeah.
Because you're not the same thing.
Absolutely.
And there's no such thing as a one size fits all protagonist type bullshit. And and ab main jo bolta hu, between the two of us, that sounds redundant.
Absolutely.
But growing up, that wasn't the case. And kids these days, now buddhe ho gaye.
Now we talk like this.
Yeah, kids these days, jo ye Gen Z bolenge inko, they take that shit for granted because that's how quickly our societal narrative is evolving.
Absolutely.
That's a beautiful thing, man. But we didn't grow up with that shit, with that confidence. Heroes can look like me. What's the problem there?
Or like my experience is worth,
Worth anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you, alhamdulillah, did you graduate now?
Yes, I graduated.
Okay. Yeah, I got ahead of myself.
It was very, little, close there.
Really?
Towards the end. Because econ tha na, was just like really struggled with this one subject. And I was like...
Colonial hangover nahi. Sahi hai. But anyways, so you graduated, alhamdulillah.
Yes.
And then where do you go?
So in Lums, I went to Mango Bars. So I joined Mangovas during LUMS. I think I was in my second year.
Okay.
So the co-founders came for a class like to talk about like business kaise karte hain and what is content and all of that. And I was like, oh, will they pay me to write?
Yeah.
And that too about like Pakistani shit, like 11 things, Lahori's
Yeah.
kind of like, listicles wohi the. So I was like, if I can make money off that, like
Yeah.
dream made.
What's better? Yeah.
So I think when usi din, wapis room jaakar, I sent an email like, dear Ali and Ali, because they both are named Ali. Please consider my,
They were
resume.
the young stunners before the young stunners. They were both Ali. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, so I sent an email. They took some time to reply. I was like, shit.
Because they were answering their emails themselves.
They're like, isko
nahi hai,
thodi der aram se bata.
Koi nahi hai, bro. Sirf hum hi hai.
And that's what like I think when I joined, so I joined as an intern, obviously, and it was maybe 5-6 people before me. It was a very small team. It was just like one editorial head, a video head, you probably know him, Yasir, and a few people for like shooting videos, and the 2 co-founders.
Yeah.
And while I was there, one other person joined, another intern joined, and we sort of just did stuff. The defining moment, my mom still says that is the best article I wrote. I'm like, wow, mom. So also Brexit hua tha.
Right.
And I'd gone back to Dubai छुट्टियों के लिए because I was like मैं नहीं रह सकता यहाँ पे गर्मी में मुझे AC चाहिए.
Yeah.
So I went and वहाँ Brexit हो गया. So I wrote what did I write? I think a Pakistani guide to whatever the hell Brexit is.
Yeah.
And I sort of drew the parallel of like how Brexit is sort of like a kitty party. एक आंटी ने बहुत अरसे से पे किया है, now she's like fuck this shit and
Yeah.
मैंने नहीं करना. So I said this England is society auntie.
Yeah.
Very relatable.
Yeah.
We should all root for her.
Appreciate the allegory.
And,
Yeah.
and what do you think? करके मैंने article खत्म, ended the article and it was posted online, did very well. Till this point, my parents were like, what the hell are you doing? But then my dad's cousins started sharing the article in the group. None of them read who it was by. Because वो तो क्यों करें ना, byline क्यों पढ़ते हैं?
Yeah.
Then one person, God bless his soul, said, oh, this Arslan हमारे बच्चे ने लिखा है.
Yeah.
And then my parents were like, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Dude,
you want that validation,
Yeah.
man. You hate to admit it, right? I hate to admit it,
Yeah.
but अभी अगर कभी भी मेरे वालिद साहब जो हैं, if he ever makes mention of the podcast, I'm like, thank you. And I would just like to say, I would just like to say, it's been hard. I don't know what the Allah Rahim kare, but yeah, you want that validation.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
I mean, it sucks that I had to take like a Brexit article for it to happen. I was like, you guys really chose this one, huh?
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, so I did that.
Okay. How long did you do Mango Bars?
I can't do math right now. 2019. So I joined in 2016.
So 3 years.
3 years.
Good experience.
Minus the last 3 months, yes.
What happened in the last 3 months? Without taking names if you don't want to.
Just a lot of things happened. I think there were some creative differences.
Okay.
There were some things that I didn't like how they were handled, like internally.
Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't like the direction they were going in? Stuff like this?
Stuff like that.
Okay.
There were some people who were hired that clearly like weren't fitting in, but they were chosen over us. So that sort of left a weird taste.
Based off not merit.
Matlab in the sense that they were defended or like their actions were defended, although we were like, this is clearly wrong or we didn't do things like this in the past.
Okay.
But they were just like, nahi, like we need to take the business forward and it didn't make sense. Clearly those things didn't pan out, obviously, but hamara consent hai. So yeah, I think those last 3 months sort of did sour it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the rest of it.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
But I
do want to mention one other article I wrote,
please.
which is my pride and joy. I love this article.
Do it. I'll link it. I'll fucking link it in the
I
description.
think all the links are now broken. So it's not as fun.
Send me a PDF or something.
I'll try.
PDF ये लो पढ़ो इसको.
Read it. So I'm obsessed with shadis, not being married, but this whole,
the concept of it.
The concept of like we dress up for a week and celebrate 2 people just getting married.
Yeah. And it's about everyone except the 2 people.
Exactly.
All right.
I mean, of course, if it's someone who I love, I really enjoy the wedding. But like these extreme, like over the top, you know.
But these days they're crazy, man.
They're crazy. So this was a wedding that started all of this. At least that's what I believe.
Okay.
And I do believe that I'm the authoritative voice on this topic.
Arslan Athar is the authoritative
I'm
voice.
the authoritative voice on OTT Pakistani weddings.
Yes.
So उस वक्त एक शादी हुई थी between this Lahori socialite,
Yes.
Anush, Amar. And
Oh, you gonna name them? Yeah, fuck it.
I wrote an article about their wedding.
did do it. You
and
did
my
do it.
name is attached to it.
Yeah.
And she asked people who is Arslan.
Oh, dude, you know what'd be funny if I made a small clip? I'm gonna make a short clip about it. Clickbait. Let's go. Do it.
So उस वक्त ये शादी हो रही थी and it literally lasted weeks. Right? This wedding started in Lahore. उनका निकाह पहले हुआ था same, you know, बादशाही में चले गए, उन्होंने निकाह किया, they took photos there. फिर उसके बाद bridal shower हुई, फिर मायों हुआ, फिर ढोलकी हुई, फिर एक और ढोलकी हुई.
तीसरी डोल की हुई.
Here they went to Turkey. Turkey में yacht party हुई, एक और मेहंदी हुई, फिर उनका रुखसती हुआ. And then they came back to Lahore to do the walima.
Of course.
Of course, you come back to your roots for your walima.
These are your fucking roots.
And it was like a basic ass walima, I have to say. Like,
Oh, you weren't impressed.
I wasn't impressed by I was at the guy's side.
Okay. Okay, all right, man.
Also, like, to be fair, when I wrote the article, we thought the Rukhsati was the last thing. So we didn't know Walima ho raha tha.
Okay.
So I wrote up till then.
Okay.
And I wrote about the Shadi. All the dresses were like Bantu Kazmi. I wrote like, oh, Bantu can retire now happily and live her life because she's done this Shadi. And what I mean is the mom, the sister, the khalas, the bride, the groom's mom.
Bantu Kazmi is a designer.
Is a designer.
And she's expensive?
She's expensive.
Okay, I know none of this.
Oh, sorry.
Look at how I dress, man.
This is stylish now.
Yeah, it's all black.
I was considering wearing all black. I was going to wear a black t-shirt today.
We should have coordinated.
We should
But
have.
I think contrast is good.
Contrast is nice. Yeah, black and white.
Yeah. Black and white.
So yeah, Bantu Kazmi is someone you like order a year in advance at least.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Very expensive. I remember 2010 we attended a wedding. उस वक्त 1 लाख का जोड़ा था. And now it's like much more than that.
Yeah.
So imagine, not just bridal, घर के हर इंसान ने Bantu Kazmi पहना हुआ है. So obviously Bantu can retire now.
Yeah, now she
I
can.
think it was a fair comment to make.
Bantu?
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum, Bantu.
Yeah, I think we know someone who knows her, but I don't think she really read Mango Bar, so
Okay.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Not that anyone in my family.
The only person who I've met who's like this, because I do have inherently I disagree with what this is. I don't know if you do, but inherently I'm just like, what? Like there's a visceral gut reaction.
Yes.
But I met Tina Durrani,
Uh-huh.
right? And she is a wonderful person.
She's
to
really
talk to.
nice.
She's super nice.
She's
I'm like,
so nice. You can't hate her.
No. If anyone deserves this, this gross disparity, Tina
Although
Durrani,
I
it's
will
you.
say one thing.
Yeah.
Tina's brand and Tina herself came under fire when she didn't pay models, and I was like, but Tina's so nice.
Yeah.
But
She didn't pay models?
She didn't pay models. I wrote about that also. But khair, losing the track.
Okay.
I wrote this article.
Yeah.
ठीक है. इस वक्त तक Brexit वाला article was the top
Yeah.
article of all of Mango Bars.
Yeah. Of all.
Of Mango Bars. ठीक है.
Yeah.
And then this came out.
Yeah.
And then it was the top article of all of, like, it beat Brexit by like miles. Everyone lost it because उस वक्त तक all of these pages were like, oh wow, she looks so pretty and what a great bridal shower. I was like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, you unpacked it.
I
Yeah.
was like, ये क्या? First, I put a timeline of the events. ना कि मतलब लाहौर से मैं बादशाही से शुरू होकर फिर टर्की चले गए.
Yeah.
And like, how much money do these people have? And the reaction of this article was great. Someone sent me a Excel sheet where these people who I've forgotten their names.
Okay.
But they made an Excel sheet of, there was one sheet of all the dresses ke costs, like the average Bantu dress cost. Then they went to the website of the Turkish hotel and found the cost of that. So we had a rough estimate of how much this wedding cost.
And how much did this wedding cost?
I can't remember now, but it was a lot of money.
Okay, just give me a ballpark. Come on.
It was like insane.
Like
करोड़ों में बात जा रही है.
करोड़ों में?
करोड़ों. Multiples.
Oh, God damn, man.
So like these people reached out, they're like, oh, we made this spreadsheet. Like, great, we'll write about this all. Well, I milked this shadi as much as I could.
I mean, they milked it. You should as well, you know.
So, and I think that is the first time anyone covered a wedding like that, in the sense that they called it out, not called it out, but like, we're like, ye kya ho raha hai?
You know?
And it's, that wedding really started the hashtag culture of shadiyan, in the sense that like a shadi trends and then all of that stuff happens.
Dude, man.
So I'm very proud of that article.
Sure.
Yeah. A lot of people.
I think it's super important for us to realize that they're obscene, right? In a country like ours, it's obscene that stuff like that happens, and yet it happens, and it happens with impunity. Nobody bats an eyelash because these people are powerful. What are you going to do?
वो senator की बेटी थी in any case.
Exactly. What are you going to do, man? You're going to do nothing. None of us are going to do shit. But I think there are apparatuses that have been lost to time. Apparatuses that were recently developed in the military regimes and all those things that have been lost to time that we could use to at least alleviate our discomfort, our disgust or our sadness, you know, and the way you wrote, the way you describe it might be one of those things, man. You might be one of those things, you know, and I think that's important. I think a lot of the writing that we have now has lost that bite.
Yes.
You know, sometimes you need that bite, and sometimes it doesn't have to be hard facts and Arslan Athar reporting from. It doesn't have to be that, man. You know, it can be a comedy.
Exactly.
It can be comic and still make sense somehow.
Exactly.
You know,
like it wasn't meant to be like a serious journalistic piece, you know, about these two socialites getting married. Like I could care less, right?
Sure.
Like they're so far removed from my context. I was just like,
different
whatever.
world, man.
Exactly.
Different reality.
So I was just not angry, but I was just like, क्या हो रहा है? And like I literally just messaged my boss, the editor at the time, and I was like, can I write an article about this? And he's like, okay, let me call you back in a bit. So again, because these people were powerful, are powerful.
Yeah, sure.
So the office was sort of split on this, where one half was like, like we're mangovas, fuck this, we can do it. And one half was like, maybe we shouldn't do this. But then when the numbers came out, they're like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Because it was big. I think in a lot of ways that did, I'm so humble, that put mangovas on a lot of people's maps in some way. That like a random person the other day that was like, oh, Mangovas, I remember the first article was that wedding article. I was like, that was by me. Yeah. So that's why I say I'm the authoritative figure.
Sure, I get it.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But again, I think that there should be more of that, not less, because I really think there is a certain bravery that is brimming in the youth, in the writers of today, where they really are sick of this shit, man.
Yeah.
You know, there's only it's like I said, it's obscene.
It's obscene.
It was never like this.
It was never like this.
It was never this bad, where the lowest of the low you can go in Pakistan is pretty damn low, man. You know, and the highest of the high, I mean, crores, dude. And this is in
2016, 17?
All right, man.
17. It was 17.
Yeah, the crores meant more than they do now, you know. So, Behral, chalo. And then, so that happened, and then it was downhill from then.
Matlab, I mean, it was still 2017 to May 2019. That was still good.
Yeah.
You know, I took on the fashion part of Mangovas, so sort of covering fashion shows, things like that, because I like fashion.
Okay, yeah.
Other than writing, like I like to sort of comment on these things. So I did that for a bit.
Was that fun?
It was fun. It was fun. Got to go to shows, you know, do all of that.
Yeah, dude, that's cool.
Do all those things.
Yeah.
Did that for a bit. And then uske baad, mid 2019 ke baad, then, you know, shit got bad.
Okay.
And
so you left. What do you do after Mangovas?
So after Mangovas, job-wise, I joined an NGO.
Okay.
Right? But then that sort of leaving Mangovas was the impetus to starting Desi Collective.
Okay.
So up till this point, I was paid to write, albeit not a lot, but still, I was like, great, you know.
It's something.
And once I left Mangovas, I realized that there is no place for my voice or just a lot of people's voices. Either, you know, a lot of publications are very selective, or they are कि हमारी team ही लिखेगी आप ना लिखें type, you know, culture.
Sorry.
And then if you want to pitch internationally, it's quite a challenge in the sense that you really have to sell what you're trying to say, your angle and all of that.
Sure.
But I still wanted to. But I was like, okay, what can I do to, I don't know, cope with this? So I was talking to a friend about this in Islamabad. Then I was visiting and I met him, and he said, you have enough experience to be part of some type of solution for this. Like, why are you crying about this? And I was like,
no, I mean, let me cry for a little bit. Come on.
Why are you attacking me? let me have my chai,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But he's like, no, you can like, you know, like,
Do something about
do
it.
something about it.
Sure.
And that's sort of where the idea began. It was a very different idea, I think, when I started. It was meant to be more like, sort of like newspapery in a sense, like that would be the shape it took, and then we would, you know, publish stories, and it would maybe be monthly and all of that. But then, of course, when you crunch the numbers, you're like,
Numbers are not good.
numbers are not good.
Yeah.
Can't do this on this salary.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, okay, how can we figure this out?
You're not getting married for crores of rupees, dude. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Right?
Like,
Come on.
if I had that kind of money, of course, different, you know.
You wouldn't do any of this.
Yeah.
I bet you money you wouldn't do any of this shit. You
I
wouldn't.
mean, life would be very different.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, what can I do? How can I sort of figure this out? And that's where I sort of came with the idea of Desi Collective. So it was basically how I started. It was sort of meant to be a magazine.
Okay.
It would come out, at least in my mind then, 2 to 3 times a year.
Okay.
And I have a theme, and people would submit their work.
Physical magazine?
Physical
magazine.
Because I didn't want it to be a digital thing.
Okay.
Because I'd done Mango Bars. And yes, there is an appetite for long form articles, but not for fiction, at least not in Pakistan. Right?
Okay.
You would read a long form non-fiction piece or like something, a report, you know, someone reporting on something, but fiction ke liye thoda kam tha, because I did try in Mango Bars to do this, but it didn't work.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, let's make it physical. And that's what a lot of people were like, they would appreciate it more if it was physical. Like they would feel like, I am a writer type thing.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, interesting. So I sent out the first issue didn't have a theme. I was just sort of learning. I didn't know what to do. I just said, "Acha, aap log bhej dein kuch mein, you know, I'll read it and let you know." Some people promised that they would help, but of course, I understand, you know, people have jobs and all. So I didn't have a lot of help. I did have one person helping, but that was just for getting the printer and managing the printers.
Okay.
You know, bakwas.
Okay.
So
Which is in itself a job.
Which is in itself a job. I couldn't have done that.
Okay.
Like go to Urdu Bazaar and sit with the printer and manage these things. There were lots of ups and downs with it. A friend of mine was supposed to design the cover, but we both forgot to talk about it because ek dost ki shaadi ho rahi thi, and we were very caught up in this shaadi. We were going to Faisalabad for it, and it was like fog ho rahi thi, and we were just stressed. So, you know, and then he had to go back for his master. So I was like, okay, well, when I put Photoshop khola, I made a basic cover, got all the stories together, and then we printed it. And the first one sort of looked like an old school risala, like it was very like us tarah ka.
Okay.
And like people loved the idea.
Yeah.
Maybe sales wise broke even,
Okay.
which was the best case
Yeah,
scenario.
alhamdulillah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, great, this is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And then I went on to announce the second issue. Phir us waqt pandemic aa gaya.
Okay.
So I was like, great. But I still collected, you know, people's submissions. By then I'd gotten better at sort of editing, giving people feedback, all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So then from there it grew. We got a second issue out, we got a third issue out. And yeah, it grew. I could tell the printer what I wanted in the terms of printing and all of that.
Yeah.
So it looked better.
Okay.
It was typed better. And, you know, it started to look sort of real. It started to look more professional.
Real. As opposed to imaginary.
As opposed to the Risala I had produced first.
Okay.
So I was happy with it. There were lots of challenges for sure. I would say no bookshop was willing to take it on.
Just to house it.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of them was like, okay, we can sell it, but we'll keep like 50%, which was really like a lot.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. And they're like, nahi, aapne kis tarah print kiya hai? I was charging 600 for the first one and 700 for the second one, which was basically enough to cover the costs, right? And they're like, nahi, ye bahut zyada hai. This should be for 300 rupees or whatever. I was like, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
It was a lot of back and forth, but it never worked out, which was annoying.
Man, the problem with these bookshops is they need to understand they're dying out anyways.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we're going to deliver everything.
Yeah.
Right? I don't understand why they don't help writers out.
They don't help writers at all.
Publishers don't either, by the way. I have a bone to pick with that
हाँ.
shit. क्योंकि मुझे भी publish करानी थी, you remember. Yeah, well, please continue.
Yeah. So I think, you know, it was really, that was discouraging.
Sure.
I think for the third one, I worked with an independent publisher. So this is like, again, one woman show, doing this publishing in Lahore.
Okay, which is you want to shout them out?
Yeah. So it's Zuka Books.
Okay, Zuka Books.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah.
By Meher. So
By Meher. Yeah.
So she really helped out in terms of getting like, the IBAN and not IBAN, I keep calling it IBAN.
It is the IBAN.
IBAN से thing जो बैंक में transfer के लिए नहीं use करते international transfer.
So what is the ISBN?
ISBN, yes.
Yeah.
So IBAN.
IBAN.
So she helped me get the ISBN.
And the IBAN because money.
पैसे तो भेजने थे ना किसी चीज के लिए. And like she helped me sort of get into the correct typist and all of that. But even those things weren't enough for the bookshops. And because she herself was independent, so even she was sort of learning the ropes.
Yeah.
So again, I don't blame her for that. I mean, I understand where she's coming from. But it was just severely discouraging to not have these bookshops sort of help you out. I remember someone I know who worked at one of these bookshops. She's like, "Oh, you can send it in, and we'll, help you out." And then everyone who I knew who was a writer, they're like, "Do not go to them because they'll never give you what you are owed." Like these people do not pay writers what they're owed.
What?
Yeah.
Where do they think they're going with this? Like, what the fuck, man? Like, how short-sighted can you be?
Yeah.
Like, because I had a very frustrating interaction with one of them because they were like, creative nonfiction stories. I'm like, right up my alley. My book's already published abroad.
Yeah.
It's just ironic that it's stories from Karachi not available in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I think that's the perfect Pakistani story.
Right. So I'm like, just to fix that, everything's done. It's already published. Just take
आपने
it.
बस print करना है.
Just print it and put it, house it in your thing. And they're like 40%. I'm like, fine. At this point, I'm like, I just want people
desperate at that point.
I just want people to be able to buy it.
Read it. Yeah.
It doesn't go with our theme.
What theme?
What the fuck are you? Did you even read it?
No, वो तो नहीं करते.
I mean, because I came out of a writing degree. The people who edited this thing are PhDs in writing, man. They're PhDs in English. Like, it's not, मैं अपनी बात भी नहीं कर रहा हूँ. मैं तो आप जैसा ही हूँ ना. ये गोरों ने edit की है. It's just nonsense, man.
It is nonsense. This is really discouraging. I think.
And Liberty Books, man. Like, what the fuck are you guys
doing? Yeah, it was
doing?
Liberty Books.
Yeah.
Liberty Books, there's readings in Lahore, just all incredibly toxic. I remember going into readings to sort of talk to the manager. And I think I left at the point I was just about to cry because I was like, this man is being so rude.
Yeah.
So ran out in the middle of Gulberg. I was like,
come on.
But
But the thing is, like, and you wonder sometimes, like, how many books have you read? Like, how many, did you write a book? Like, what's going on here, buddy? Just, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, but please, yeah.
Yeah. So that was sort of that was the last issue I did that was a physical issue.
Okay.
Then I was like, maybe I can try so at the end of the day, like the cost that I was taking up on my own, I was like, okay, I need to find a way to sort of help out. So I thought, okay, maybe Patreon can help with that. It did work, but then, and I did publish like a digital issue, sort of Patreon exclusive. Because there was a lot of attention coming from abroad. But I couldn't send the book. Like, to send the book abroad was very expensive.
No, that's impossible.
And like, no one's going to pay an extra, how much ever rupees for a book.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then I sort of put those things online, and then it spread over there.
Yeah.
So that was good. But I had to sort of take a break last year because of some own personal commitments. So then I took some time off, and I also just wanted some time off to reevaluate how I can make this better.
Okay.
And,
But overall, man, whatever you're telling me, it's positive. It is definitely working. And if there's, it's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? Like, if people have complaints about books not being, by local authors not being available here, it's the fucking bookshops. It's not, what are we going to do? People write, people edit. Everything's been done from your end. What are you going to do?
It's the bookshops, and it is now also like our own policies. So what happened? What year was this? So when the whole India-Pakistan war almost happened.
Yeah.
When we shot each other's planes down.
Yeah. We shot their planes down.
Sorry. Oh my God.
Yeah. That's what happened. Yeah.
So our reaction as the Pakistani government was to ban trade with India.
Okay.
Which included the trade of books. And for a lot of Pakistani writers, because almost all of the big publication houses have offices in India. and they're meant to cover India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
But because there's a trade ban, they could not send those books to Pakistan. So Pakistani writers ne likhe hue the. So they're like, we can't publish because we don't know if there's an interest in India.
Yeah.
Pakistani books would sell very well in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So that made business sense.
Yeah.
But they couldn't sell here.
See that, and the other problem is we still to this day cannot figure out online payment gateways. We just cannot, right?
Can't.
And that this problem would easily be mitigated
course.
if we had PayPal or something of that sort. You know,
Yes.
it'd be that simple. Just buy the shit online.
If I had PayPal, I think I would still be doing Desi Collective very well because I cannot tell you the amount of people who message from like England, America. My cousins were like spreading this shit around. I was like, I can't send this to anyone. Please stop telling your friends. I can't do this. तो मैं अपने cousins को PDFs भेज देता हूँ तो यही भेज दो. But that's the most I could do at that point, right? So yeah, if there was PayPal, like this would be a different conversation.
Yeah, it'd be a different conversation. I understand that, man. I hear you.
Yeah.
But still, man, it's positive and you know something I think sooner or later will sort itself out.
Yes.
We know it's not crypto for now because that's also banned.
Yes.
Why do you hate us? But okay.
Yeah.
So that's the Desi Collective, and I really hope you keep doing it because you know. And where does the course with Fatma Bhutto factor in?
So it wasn't a course; it was a fellowship.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So what happened at the end of 2020 was a friend of mine who also writes, she sent this post by an Indian writer.
Okay.
Her name's Sonia Filero, and she started this fellowship called South Asia Speaks, jahan pe like South Asian writers would accept applications from South Asia and they would pick who they want to work with for the entirety of 2021. और आप उनको ये बता दो कि like this is my project, you give them your other stories, and if you have a manuscript started up, उसके भी कुछ pages भेज दो.
Wonderful.
So at that time, Fatma Bhutto and Sana Meher were the two Pakistani writers, and they were not advertised, but they were listed under non-fiction. So they were doing fiction and non-fiction fellowship. So she wasn't an option in my mind.
Okay.
But I was disappointed because I was like, she writes such great fiction. Wouldn't it be great, you know, to learn from her, lo and behold. But khair, I sent the application and everything. Beginning Jan, they sent an email, can you send your manuscript, jitna bhi aapne likha hua hai? And I was like, interesting.
And you're writing fiction?
I'm writing fiction.
Okay.
So they didn't say anything. They give me no other details. They just said...
So is it fiction or creative non-fiction?
I'm writing fiction.
Okay, pure fiction.
Yeah, fiction.
But anchored where?
Anchored in real things. So it's anchored in Hyderabad, India.
Okay.
And it's... the timeline of the story is based on real events.
So based on true events.
Yes, but
fiction.
it is fiction.
Okay.
So I sent that, and I was like, "Pata nahi kya karenge." Then mid-Jan, I felt really ill. My parents were like in Karachi or something. So I'm lying on my bed dying.
Right. In the process of dying.
In the process of dying, my phone, tings, and wo jo Gmail ka nahi aata notification, it just said congratulations.
Good.
And I thought, pata nahi koi spam email hoga, jo aata hai.
the kya? The prince.
Nigerian prince ne aapko kuch paise shaise bhej di. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So, and then usi waqt saath mein another friend who applied sent a message saying, when you find out about South Asia Speaks, let me know. I was like, the timing is off. Like, this is too much of a weird thing.
This congratulations is serious.
This might be not just the Nigerian prince. So I opened the email. I said, welcome to this cohort. We selected you for fiction and your mentor is Fatma Bhutto.
Fantastic,
and I threw my phone somewhere in excitement. I was like,
all right, fuck the phone.
Because again, it wasn't what I didn't expect that to happen. Because she wasn't listed as fiction.
Sure.
But that entire year was great experience.
Yeah.
She was a very dedicated mentor. I would send pages and pages, and she would send pages and pages of feedback.
Wow, dude, that's wonderful. Okay, how does that interaction work?
So it was on Zoom.
Okay.
So we would sort of do, I think, once every month or 2 months, we'd have a Zoom call. Or actually, there were rules for how this should work. Fatma was like, I'm going to do it myself, how I want to manage it.
Yeah.
Also, she took on the most number of mentees. So she had 4. And everyone else had 1.
Yeah, which is a lot, dude.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
And doing her own stuff and everything, right?
Sure, of course.
So she was like, let me know like whenever you want to discuss things, and then we can talk about it. Otherwise, I'll email kar lo, and we like if it's a small issue, you email. If it's a larger issue,
Yeah.
after you send like pages, for example, then we can do a Zoom call and talk about it.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was a very interesting and a very formative experience because I had previously written only in short stories. And my manuscript was chaotic.
Yeah.
And it was written like a short story.
That's how it's meant to be,
Yeah.
man. It's meant to be chaotic.
So I think I'd gone in, and she's like, oh, what do you expect for the year? And she's like, do you want to finish the manuscript? I'm like, no, that's not my goal.
Yeah.
I want to be able to sort of think in a novel way. Or, like...
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
Because I was writing, like my story was happening so fast. Like 20 pages mein bahut kuch ho chuka tha. And she's like, no, this needs to like stretch. You need to stretch yourself. You need to stretch the writing, what happens, the pacing, all of that.
Yeah.
So that's what I sort of worked with her for for all of 2021.
Okay.
And it was really...
A question here.
Yes.
Does she, like, what's in it for her? She's just a good person? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I think the people, all the mentors, even everyone else, like they were sort of, for them, the way it was presented was that UK, there are no writing schools or programs in South Asia broadly. Like even Jo Bilal Tanvi does at LUMS is unique. Like ab jaakar maybe Habib does a program with Zain Said. So and like I'm not sure what the situation is in India even, but I'm guessing it's similar, right? There aren't constructive one-on-one experiences you can go into.
Imagine we mastered this language, we never learned to tell our own stories.
Yeah. So they were just like, there's nothing for you to sort of learn from. And it was open for people who basically hadn't done writing programs abroad. It was open for people who lived in South Asia. So like if you were, a Desi person in Canada, you couldn't apply.
You couldn't apply. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. You know Nazar, na? So like Nazar applied and Nazar kata ke nahi. Aap nahi kar sakte because you live in Canada. You have these resources available to you.
He's wonderful.
He's wonderful.
He's lots of fun.
Yeah.
Nazar
He would
is.
have made it, but there is like, you have these resources.
Yeah.
So we can't, like, it has...
And Nazar, you just go to the U of T and do the writing degree that I did. What the fuck? And just taking local resources.
Yeah. So...
Come on, Nazar.
So, yeah, basically, it was open only for people who lived here, people who hadn't done formal, degrees in this topic, and who weren't agented, like, didn't have representation, basically.
Yeah.
Or weren't published already.
Dude, I think that's a wonderful initiative.
Yeah.
I really do. I have been trying to get into touch with people in Karachi, educational institutes in Karachi, in the hopes of starting a writing program.
Yeah.
Because I did this in school. So I was like, just let me start a writing program. But I think they make it so difficult.
They
man.
do.
Okay, you can, but every day of the week, and we'll pay you 25,000 rupees a month.
Exactly.
For fuck's sake, dude.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
What's going on
Yeah.
here? So it's a lot of that.
Well, we don't value it as a skill. Like, even when, like, for example, if I tell my family that I'm writing, it wouldn't make sense or it wasn't appreciated. But
No.
when this was, because when Fatma herself shared the news, okay, these are the 4 people I'm working with, do Pakistani hai, do Indian hai, that obviously made news.
Yeah.
Then it was something of value.
I think, nothing, this is not at all to knock the skill that Fatma Bhutto has. I think she gets away with it because of who she is.
Of course. And I think like she's also like, because she's done other like workshops and things in Lahore, and she does a lot of these types of activities where say online, but she does work. I think she truly believes that she can help a lot of people by talking to them about the craft of writing.
That, and also she's doing it for free, I think.
Yeah.
So I mean...
like this thing they weren't making money off of teaching us for a year. No. So it was an incredible experience. It was organized really well.
Yeah.
We got to meet all the other mentors as well. So they would do talks throughout the year.
Wonderful.
And then in the end, like for the graduation, they managed to get Meera Nair on a call with us as well. So like we got to talk to Meera Nair, which is really cool.
Super nice.
So yeah.
I also think, I don't know how much you follow the writings or the work of Jordan Peterson, right? But he'll speak at length about the fact that there is nothing more valuable than learning how to write.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't know how to write, you don't know how to think. And if you don't know how to think, forget articulating. You don't even know why you're angry or why you're upset, why you're frustrated, what's going on.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So writing it's essential. And man, writing is part of our culture. It's part of our blood. Come on now. How have we, I don't know what happened, but I suppose censorship, right? Censorship fucks you up. Like you're not, because you can't express yourself. You're like, well, why learn?
Why learn? Exactly.
Because it's dangerous. Sure, it is. So the Desi Collective, I really hope you continue. I really, really do, man.
Yes.
And if there's anything in my personal capacity that we can do, or if anyone listening would like to, please come on now. You have to, come on. So about this manuscript that now even Fatma Bhutto helped you with, how much do you want to talk about it? What's going on?
So it's basically, what a lot of people don't know, actually I'll scale back even further.
Please do.
So my family, my dad's family, they're from Hyderabad, Dakhan.
Okay.
And they moved, what I was told, was they moved at a certain year, but they in fact moved much later than that. This I found out very randomly. Then Puppo ne waisi baat. I was like, wait.
Puppo? The fuck is going on here?
But no one talked about why they left, what life was like there. And obviously we lost our grandparents when I was very young, so I couldn't even ask those questions. And my dad or the Puppos, at least the ones that were born in Hyderabad, didn't really want to talk about it either. So there was a very big veil of, hum Hyderabad se hain and we eat khatti dal and Hyderabadi biryani, but that's it. That's all you will know about this city that
Interesting. I don't know.
So then I started doing research. I was like, okay, what did it look like?
Okay.
First,
So let's
Google images mein Hyderabad dala, dekha cha the shahar looked like this. Then I first went to the Wikipedia page.
Okay.
How one starts research.
Sure, of course.
And that's when I found out that jab 47 mein hua partition, the Hyderabad, the state of Hyderabad, which is a very big part of India,
Sure, yeah.
was independent at 47. The Nawab of the Nizam of Hyderabad said, "Okay, I am rich enough." Because he was the richest man of his time.
I got bags.
He did.
I'm good.
Although he was known to be very frugal, like he wouldn't spend it, but he had it.
Okay, sure.
But he said, I will keep my state independent.
Okay, yeah.
India jai, like India be independent, Pakistan be independent. Pakistan humse bahut dur hai, and India can just surround us whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
It had enough land to feed itself, and it had enough wealth to also clothe it. Like it was enough.
Super powerful, man. Yeah.
But what happened a year later, so in 48, was that the Indian police and the army did an operation. And they took over Hyderabad. So obviously the king himself was dying. He was an old man. So they sort of pressurized him. And then they started attacking sort of the fringes of the Hyderabadi state. And then it collapsed eventually. So again, no one had told me this happened. I assumed, 47 mein sab kuch India.
Yeah.
You know that.
You're telling me now, man. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Like we only hear of Bahawalpur, for example. Or like there were some princely states jo rahe the, but baad mein, again in textbooks also it's just one line, and then a year later they came into the union.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's the same text that's in India also.
Yeah.
Wahan pe bhi ye kehte hain next year Hyderabad joined the union.
Yeah.
But that's a very loaded sentence in itself.
Sure.
So that is what interested me initially. That was the starting point, and then I became weirdly obsessed with this idea.
Okay.
To the point where I would do research on it, try to figure out what happened. A lot of like the history instructors I had in LUMS they knew that this had happened, but they didn't know, like, unka research is kaam mein nahi tha. Like, obviously if you learned history doesn't mean you learned everything, right?
Sure, of course. Yeah.
So they, like, wahan bhi help nahi mila. So I just became very obsessed with this idea. And I decided, okay, I will tell a story about this time. What that story will look like, I don't know yet. And then I formed this character. So it's told from the perspective of a wife, a very powerful man. And it's her sort of going through this change. She's grown up as a Hyderabadi woman, but now she's sort of not conflicted, but she's sort of in the middle of this really interesting time where Hyderabad itself is sort of stateless.
Dude, that's just so much. It's so much, man.
Yeah.
There's so much potential.
So yeah, like she's a little snooty. She's a little
Sure.
like privileged. So I tell the story through her, point of view.
Sure.
And I did a lot of research on it in terms of like getting context. And then the rest of it was just sort of, I think the first 3 months with Fatma, I was just nailing the character, nailing the voice, nailing her nonchalance.
Yeah.
Okay, like, like I'm rich, whatever.
Yeah.
Take over, I don't care. Like, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is like, and I'm glad I took that time to sort of develop her and develop her world.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where it is right now.
That's exciting, man. I hope that gets done. And I hope the Desi Collective garners enough attention until then. कि आप खुद ही इंशाल्लाह कि आप खुद ही कर लो यार, because it's nonsense, man. There's no other way. And these I'll come back to the bookshops now. But this only works if we're doing it together, or it doesn't work at all, man. Like, what the fuck? Behral, who is so we spoke about mango bars and all as well. What publications do you enjoy in Pakistan right now?
In Pakistan,
The Prophet, the Dependent. That's pretty fun.
The Dependent I love.
Yeah, it's nice.
I'm really sad whenever I see that little white strip just says satire. A little part of me dies.
Yeah.
But it's Pakistan again at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
they have to save themselves.
They have to save themselves.
Yeah.
The Dependent. I feel like there's some things in like Pakistani, like these types of publications that are still a little unsaid. And I feel like a lot of them cover things in the same way. There are some writers who try to sort of break away from that narrative. But one publication that I'm obsessed with nowadays, it's an Indian publication. It's called India 50, no, not India 50, 52 Stories.
52 stories.
So what they do, and I'm pretty sure I'm getting this name wrong.
Yeah.
But it's 52 is one of them.
Okay.
So basically 52 weeks in the year.
Yeah.
And each week they publish just one article, which is like this extremely detailed article.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you must have seen. So Ahmed Naqvi wrote about Karachi
Biryani.
and biryani. So that was in 52.
Oh, wow.
He wrote it for 52 and then it sort of picked up from there. And I think it's this massive article.
Yeah.
Each article is that length. Like they go into one topic and they just really, really explore it. And that's the sort of writing, like, creative nonfiction that really is interesting. Because again, I've read so much fiction that I need to sort of break away from it a little bit. I feel like reading fiction sometimes hinders my own process. So
speaking of hindrances and processes, you think writers need to be uncomfortable like this? Because Ahmed Naqvi is part of the old guard. For all intents and purposes, you put that much work into, I don't know, marketing. You're driving a BMW, man. You're good. But and I'm not saying Ahmed Naqvi is it good. I'm just saying he could be wealthy if he was doing something else, right? But because he's writing, he'll be a person of modest means at best, right? And I have not seen his house. I'm just speaking because I know writers don't get that shit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Talk show hosts do.
Yeah.
Right?
Would be great.
Yeah. Sure. Right? But so you think that's part of it? Like you just have to be like this?
There are a few writers, will not name names, who live in excess privilege.
Okay.
And have written and have gotten published also.
Yeah.
And they do a lot to promote Pakistani literature.
Okay.
But I find that their work sometimes lacks. There's something that just lacks there.
Okay.
Either it's their inability to sort of truly portray another character's point of view that's different from theirs, or a less privileged point of view.
Sure.
And it is challenging.
Okay.
Like in my book also, there's a second voice I've added who is involved in the house, but she's not as rich, for example. So like that was a challenge to shift that voice. Of course, I understand that. That's completely something I empathize with. But it's not necessary to have to be living paycheck to paycheck. At least I don't think that's necessary. But a writer does need to be uncomfortable in the sense with the topic. That uncomfortability, of course, 100% they need.
Yeah.
But you don't need to be starving or you don't be struggling.
You wish you wouldn't, yeah.
Yeah, at least, but like, that isn't the first prerequisite. It might happen, and it's unfortunate if it does happen. But I think the discomfort that a writer needs to be comfortable with, discomfort and comfort, is the topic.
Sure.
Like I'm writing through the lens of a woman, so that's a loaded thing within itself.
Yeah.
So I've had to read a lot to be able to understand how to write that point of view.
That experience is, it's heavy. Yeah.
So But that is a challenge I put for myself because I knew that saying it through a man's lens wouldn't be as interesting.
No.
It is a position of even more privilege.
Sure, right? Yeah.
So, and privilege of information and other things also. So I didn't want it to be a male voice.
I mean, so between the male and the female experience, there's at least 50% more paradigms as far as women are concerned, right? So there's everything that a man goes through, and then 50% more at least, right?
At least.
So yeah, man. Again, challenging. Sure, very challenging, but I don't know. It's exciting. It's exciting stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's exciting stuff. But my thing is, why is there not more of you? Do you know what I mean? Like I keep coming back to this. We used to be a nation of storytellers.
Yeah.
That's our shit, man.
Yeah.
मैं इतनी गालियां दे रहा हूं, but that's what we used to do. And then all of a sudden now, we've forgotten that, yeah, bro, even our religious imperatives, the Quran is stories.
Yes.
Everything is stories, man.
Stories.
All our cultures, whether it be our religious cultures, whether it be our, immediate cultural context, they're all stories. Sindhis are storytelling people.
Absolutely.
Same thing with the Punjabis. Same thing with the people who migrated. And I don't want to call them Urdu speaking because
but
a person from Bengal is not the same as a person from Hyderabad. It's not the fucking same thing. Why do you want me to say it is? It's really not. Or the Pashtuns, they're all storytellers.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we got lost.
I mean, I sort of think about this too, and I think again I go back to sort of my Nana and Dada both who wrote, right? I think for them, they went through something that was extremely traumatic. Ek to they lived under a Raj regime, British Raj regime, and then they fought for their independence.
Yeah.
So they knew they had to document this, either through literary writing, ke aaj ye hua, wo kal ye, or writing it through stories or whatever else. But then the generation that came after them, so our parents had to live and thrive here.
And forget the trauma.
They had to forget the trauma. They just had to be like, acha, hum Pakistani hai, and we have to make our living here. We have to make our lives here. And that was the driving force of the time. So the trauma was ho gaya. Their parents went through it. So for them, it was like, acha, I have to get a job, I have to get a degree, I have to get married, I have to support my family. Yes, our grandparents obviously had to do that too, but they had to migrate, leave their families behind. So that trauma or that event led to a lot of creativity in some ways.
Sure.
But and then again, Pakistan was a new country. It had a lot to prove for itself. And that pressure lay with our parents.
Sure.
So I think that took the precedent. And that took the imperative. And they said, acha, we can't. And then, of course, we have the things timing with censorship and military regimes coming in. So that was one thing.
Sure.
I think there's sometimes even almost like, tum ispe kyun likh rahe ho? I'm just like, it's fine, chill.
Yeah.
But again, like these things sort of working together, I think sort of created a vacuum where people weren't writing as much or people weren't expressing themselves as much.
Do you see a shift back?
I do see a shift back now.
Yeah.
I think our generation grew up in confusion. What is a Pakistani? Who am I? I think for me, it was also more than if you come back to Pakistan, people are like, oh, you're not Pakistani.
Yeah, man.
And I'm like,
think about that for a second, yeah?
Like, it was the most stupid thing, right?
And also like the forced categorizations, like I'm either a burger or a mela, I'm too English or not English enough,
Exactly.
I think in diasporic literature, there is this one concept of white but not quite.
Yes.
Right? Because we don't belong there.
We don't belong there.
I mean, I lived in Canada for about 8 years, Malaysia for 2. तकरीबन 10 साल में नहीं था यहाँ पे, right? But I'm from here, man. नहीं यहाँ burger है. Bro, why this disdain? And if there is disdain, why don't you want to examine where it comes from?
Yeah. Because
it comes from, maybe a sense of low self-worth. Maybe you would do exactly what I did. Think about it. Maybe you would do exactly what I did in my position. You would have left as well.
Yeah.
But I came back, So what's the deal?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So yeah, our generation grew up with a lot of confusion. Ke acha, hum Musliman hai pehle ya Pakistani hai pehle. Yeah, like the whole, our traditions are very Indian or very Hindu, for example. A lot of things are in that debate.
Yeah.
So then how do you cope with that? I think our generation had to deal with the question of, acha, hum hai kaun? Like it became a very prominent question because the world also became obsessed with labels in a way.
Sure.
Now, of course, there's the reverse of that happening. But
Yeah.
when we were growing up, it's like, acha, what are you?
Yeah.
You
Figure out the one thing that you are.
Yeah. Like you can't say, ke,
I'm just.
I live in Dubai, but I'm Pakistani, but I'm not from, I don't have a Dubai citizenship, but I don't live, like it is so complicated.
Yeah.
So like for anyone who lived abroad or even in Pakistan, like anyone who comes from a mixed family, again, मेरा तो ये second issue ये था कि my mom's Punjabi, my dad's from Hyderabad. So people are like, what are you?
Yeah, what are you really?
And then I went to Punjab and they're like, आपका caste क्या है? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, हम फैसलाबाद से.
Yeah.
That's very small. So again, like that question, I think led to a lot of expression, a lot of writing, a lot of other things. I think there are new mediums now for people to sort of express themselves. And yeah.
Yeah. When you ask for submissions, like, are you looking at any particular demographic?
No.
All comers.
All is fine.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to write. I don't have like a genre list, for example.
No. Okay.
But predominantly poetry, I would say 80%. And then the rest is split between fiction and non-fiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of a demographic are you getting? Most people who write in, are they male, female?
Mostly female.
Okay.
A lot of like the end of school, beginning of university age.
Okay.
And again, mostly poetry.
Mostly poetry.
Mostly poetry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't that why don't men write?
It's not manly enough.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what though? It's ridiculous. In my degree, so we would have wonderful. By the way, dude, I hope everyone who has any love for writing gets to do something of that sort. मतलब 4 साल लगे मुझे 4 साल की डिग्री थी, मैंने 2 साल में खत्म की थी अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह. हाँ, लेकिन because I had brilliant teachers and they were like, हाँ bro, कर लो क्या है. It had nothing to do with me. But so how the classes would be is basically the maximum number of students you were allowed to take on was 10. ठीक है 12 से ज़्यादा नहीं कर सकते हो आप. I'm sorry, नहीं कर सकते हो.
For writing, it's
12 and you have like this like badass double PhD man or woman standing at the head of the class teaching you how to write, and that's what you do, man. You'd write a thing, write a piece, and then you would cut it to shreds the whole month.
Yeah.
So writing is all about editing. Most of it is, right? But even in Toronto, in most of my classes, there were only maybe 3 or 4 men out of the 12. Most of them were still women. I don't understand that, man, because writing is just as essential for men as it is for women. It's for everyone.
It's for everyone.
Would you be interested in teaching writing yourself?
I definitely would.
Yeah.
So I did like a little bit of teaching.
Okay.
So there's like a program for like those scholarship ke students aate hain to LUMS, and again because they come from mostly an FSC background, and baaki bache A levels ke hote hain. It's just a small course to sort of bring them up to speed English wise. So I taught that course through fiction.
Okay, wonderful.
Because I was like, I don't know anything else.
Okay.
And also I feel like when people ask you to sort of talk about grammar and like prepositions and all that, I've forgotten that. I don't.
Same. Yeah.
I just sort of read a sentence and like this doesn't sound right.
That's it.
And then
man.
I move words around like, हाँ ठीक हो गया.
अब ठीक हो गया. अब सही है.
The kids I taught, they're like, but sir, why? I was like, I don't know.
Listen, man, this is not philosophy, all right? Just fucking, it's fine. It's fine. This is what it is.
Does this sound right to you?
Nice.
So, yeah, I was definitely interested in teaching.
Yeah. How was that experience?
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think they were sort of the first time they were taught in that way, so they were sort of interested in it as well. I enjoyed teaching it.
Yeah.
And I think like there were some issues, obviously, like that was mostly administrative.
Okay.
But like the actual course and the actual like student interaction was fun, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I, however, do not think I have like patience for school children.
No? Yeah, the thing is, it's that age, man. You need to get them at the right time. So
Yeah.
I would argue A-levels. A-levels और A-levels के बच्चे हों, लेकिन A-levels second year.
but like they need to like उनको थोड़ी appreciation होनी चाहिए इस बात की, like what they're learning.
Sure.
Like a random kid, like हम आ गए, हाँ. But I would argue that it needs to start a little younger also.
A little younger, you think?
I think, like before, I would say 8th grade.
8th grade.
Although they're more like annoying.
Rowdy, yeah.
They're very rowdy.
Yeah.
But if you pick out, again, like it has to be like selective, I feel.
Sure.
Like obviously not all kids can write, but not all kids can be like.
Yeah. I mean, have a test. Yeah. And then one more thing that the same people who Banto Kazmi wale jo wahi wale yahan pe bhi aa jayenge, just have a course that they need to ace, that they need to do like above 85.
Yeah, because any kid or any person who has that story inside them, they know some way or the other.
Sure.
It takes some time to realize, but I think starting them off young, because they need that encouragement. Like OA levels destroys you on a lot of levels, right? Or like school at that level.
Sure.
Because there's so much pressure.
Yeah, right.
I feel like they do need some type of creative outlet.
Sure.
And schools don't give a creative outlet in general.
No, they don't. Dude, you know, no one ever appreciates how difficult O and A levels are.
Huh.
You know, after I did my A levels from Nixer. After I got done A levels, and I went to university. For the first couple of years, university was a joke, man. I was like, what do you, and वहाँ के जो North American बच्चे थे, वो बेचारे बहुत struggle करते थे.
Yeah.
University में, because they were coming from high school. High school is very easy compared to university. But when I used to, or my sister, when we used to go there, like, ठीक है क्या है, कुछ भी तो नहीं है.
Yeah.
And we're talking about A levels में 100% everything is reliant on one exam. You screw this up, everything's gone. वहाँ पे, bro, they were like, this essay is worth
10% is this, 5%
20%. What? I'm like, I don't understand this.
2.5 is your attendance.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Bro, 10% is attendance. What the fuck?
That was a little crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like 10%, like just showing up, 10% is.
What is that, man? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyhow, man, this has been a lot of fun, Arslan.
Yes.
It's been fantastic. I really hope, again, even after the podcast, if there's anything I can do for the Desi Collective, you let me know.
I will let you know.
It is very important. It's super important. I think, screw everyone who doesn't understand it because really, man, think about it. Newspapers didn't think television would take over. And they had to sell their printing presses, man. Like, what the fuck are you guys thinking? Or girls, or whatever you are. I don't care. Whatever it is, man. Whatever it is. I don't know what you're thinking. And it's the future. I really would think, though, that it's good that you did the Desi Collective the way you did, right? Because you maybe learned a few things, made a few mistakes, stumbled a little bit.
I just didn't think, like the first one, though, I didn't think. I just did it.
Good, man. You can't think too much about this stuff. But I don't know, maybe that is the way to go, is first have it become an online presence. And then, maybe once or twice a year, do a physical thing.
Yeah.
Why not?
I think, why not?
Yeah.
Can be tried.
Wait, how's the Patreon doing?
Again, because I took a break, so I have now forgotten kitne log were subscribed to it. It's not great. But then again, I mean, I completely ek to because of the fellowship, I was like, I can't do this, that,
and the job,
and have a 9 to 5. So I had to stop something.
Right.
But again, even I know I wasn't consistent with it. So now when I restart again, it's going to be more consistency on those things.
Inshallah.
And again, I just want to try a couple of different things. Let's see how that goes. And we'll see.
Fantastic. Please, the Desi Collective is your Instagram?
Yes.
You don't want your personal wala?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have a public profile also now because I think it could be an influencer.
Yeah, sure. Why the fuck not, dude? Come on, why are you laughing? It's a serious thing. Mango Bars Pay, you are the foremost authority on shadis, dude.
Yeah.
That's important.
Weddings.
Hashtag weddings.
Yeah.
So your Desi Collective ka is the Desi Collective?
Yeah, not official.
No, okay. And what's your personal wala?
It's confused and fashionable.
Confused and fashionable.
Yes.
Any no YouTubes, none of that?
No.
Okay. Websites?
No. So I'm going to launch the Desi Collective website and everything. Ek saath hi. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned, and we'll also look forward to your book, inshallah.
Yes, inshallah.
Whenever it happens. Thank you, man.
Thank you so much.
We'll do this again sometime, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.